One of the reasons that a lot of people are trying to switch careers and especially become a Scrum Master these days is because they can work from home. The idea of remote work sounds very appealing, but is it always right? In this video, I'd like to share 5 things that I wish I knew before I actually started to work from home full time. Hey, it's Daria here. Welcome. Okay, so the premise of this video seems to be quite straightforward, I think, and in the past couple of years, I have learned a lot about how to work from home productively and also keep yourself sane. So, funny story. When I just started working from home, I didn't really have an extra desk that I could use in my newly created office, in our spare room. But I needed to run virtual classes almost right off the bat as soon as we went into the pandemic. So you gotta get creative in this kind of situation. So what I did is to use our ironing board as my desk. I know, that sounds completely silly, but that was the solution that I found in the first few months. I actually was using this wobbly construction for at least a couple of months before I got an actual table. And now my setup is actually pretty cool. It's on another level. Stay until the end actually of this video to get a quick overview of my setup and of my home office. Anyway, this actually brings me to my first point that I wanted to make in this video. Your working space is much more important than you think. You know, at the beginning, I believe many people just kind of use their kitchen tables as their desks, right? So everybody was just sitting there in the kitchen working from home. And sitting on your dining chair the whole day is not exactly a very pleasant experience. And it actually impacts not just your overall productivity, but also impacts your mood. It impacts your mental health. If you are planning to work from home, I think in the long term, having a proper setup and the proper working space is extremely important. Since I organized my space kind of the way I really like it, I feel that I can focus on my work, but also I don't feel overwhelmed with all of the random stuff that may end up on my desk, like plates or other things that I need to clean up, for example. It also saves me a lot of time when I have remote meetings because I have everything already set up. I don't need to find a quiet space or a comfortable space where I can sit down and have my meeting because everything is already there. That was an extremely stressful experience for me when I had to set everything up, put my camera up, put my microphone, and it was just extremely stressful. And if you are prone to anxiety, I think especially having a proper setup, a very good setup that actually helps you have everything there and immediately like that go into a meeting already, then that will reduce a lot of the stress and will really help you focus. Speaking of anxiety, the second thing I wish I knew earlier is that where you work will become your office. What it means is that if you say work on at your desk and then you go and you sit down at your favorite chair or on a couch, or maybe you are having a meeting on your dining table, all of these places automatically will become associated with work, so kind of will become your office. Like if you keep sitting in your favorite relaxed chair to work and you're often stressed during that time, you have trained your body and your mind that this chair is a stress chair, not a relaxed chair now. And that is why I have never taken my laptop with me to the bedroom, even if it seems like a very comfy place to sit, just on your bed. At the same time, if there's something that I love doing that is work related, for example, I may take it with me outside of my home office space. So, for example, if I plan to sit down to write for several hours, I'd grab my laptop to sit on my couch in the living room, for example, or even in the patio during summertime, because it is a relaxing space and I love writing, so it kind of comes together. So, since you don't technically need to leave the house to go to work, sometimes changing the environment within which you work can help you become a bit more productive and a bit more creative as well. But you just want to be careful with what you take, what kind of work you take, and where you take it. One more thing that I wish I knew before I started working from home is that you can never clock out. If you don't set the boundaries, the workday will never stop. Lunchtime, evening, early morning, you're available, right? At least that's somehow became an expectation from team members and from managers. And if you don't set those expectations straight, the way you want them to be, then you're going to be on call 24/7. After months of working in a small team with very dynamic and fast moving projects here at Scrum Master, I had to set up some boundaries. Work time is officially between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Any messages coming in outside of those hours can and should be ignored. Now, the next step is to actually silence my phone and not reply to messages. That is also one more important point here. Not only that you need to set the expectations straight, set those boundaries, but you also need to follow through with them. How easy it is to just reach out to your phone or open up your laptop just to check a couple of emails. And if we take the previous point into account, when your working space is pretty much everywhere in your house, then it seems just so natural just to keep working. Pay attention to those working hours and create routines around them that help you separate work time from home time. For example, I heard some people actually would dress up, put on a coat, and leave the house, walk around the neighborhood, around the block for 10 minutes, and then come back home to start working. That was kind of the commute to the office. And then the working day is over. They once again dress up, put on their coat, and leave for a walk around the neighborhood, but they're going in the opposite direction for 10 minutes. And that kind of splits the day and gives them the clear cues to their brain and to their body that when the day starts, the working day starts, and when the working day ends. One more unexpected thing that happened for me is the realization that you actually work more, not less, when you work from home. Obviously, if you don't set the boundaries, as I explained in the previous point, then that is no-brainer that you are working more. But even say if you work from 9 to 5, as you usually would do in the office, you actually may be doubling the real working time. You know, when you are in the office, for example, and you need to go from one meeting to the other, on the way there, you're going to stop in the kitchen to grab a coffee, and then you're going to bump into one of your colleagues from another team, and then you stop, you have a quick chat, those a couple of minutes that kind of pass where you disconnect. Or say you're sitting at an open space and working on a presentation, and another maybe colleague comes by and just asks you a question about work, and then suddenly that discussion turns into a discussion around what you did last weekend. Those are the small moments that allow you to disconnect from work and just have a nice social interaction. Social interactions at work are sometimes as important as the work itself, so they don't feel like a waste of time technically, as you're building relationships with your team members, so it makes sense, they are related to work. But have you noticed that when you actually work from home, those small breaks between meetings and different things that you need to do become shorter? Say you want to go grab a coffee, so you go to your kitchen and you make yourself a coffee in 3 minutes? And then that's it. You have nothing else to do. There is no one to interact with. So what do? Well, you go back to work and you start working right away. Even if you're leaving with someone and when you take a break, for example, at that exact time they are in a meeting, there is no one else to take a break with. So weirdly enough, I think it makes sense to set specific times aside in your calendar just to take a break and not allow yourself during that time to go back to work. For example, set 1 hour lunchtime from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. that you know is a break time and you're not going to go back into the office. Even if you get kind of bored, you're still not going to do that. And that brings me to my last point, which is kind of the biggest realization after a couple of years of working from home that I had, is that working in the office was actually fun. And I mean it. When I look back at the times when I worked with teams in office, the first thing that comes to mind are the interactions with the people I worked with. Jokes and laughter, smiles and snarky comments, just being able to express yourself without words with just body language or facial expressions. I don't know about you, but that was fun for me, and I really loved those interactions. In every team and every organization I worked at previously, we would often go out after work, whether to celebrate a team achievement or just, to have some drinks. We don't have that social interactions, that social aspect of work anymore, or at least it is much harder to actually create it. There is no more chit chat at the coffee machine. Every meeting is a meeting. It's about a serious work stuff, right? We rarely get a chance to just talk about something else. Heck, many teams rarely have a chance to just see their team members, even on camera. So, how do you build those interpersonal connections without that opportunity to talk to each other in real life or to see each other? I think that while working from home comes with many cool benefits, we are also losing a lot. And if you just never get a chance to get together with your team in one space, then you need to become a bit creative in how you're going to approach building that positive team environment and team dynamic. I actually have a video that is called How to Build Trust in Teams in 30 Days that may give you some great ideas of what you can do in a remote setting. Check it out once you finish watching this video. Remember, we have an office tour that is coming up right after the summary. So let's summarize what you need to do to keep yourself productive and sane while working from home. So 1, invest some time and money into organizing your working space. It is worth it. Keep your office in the office, especially when it comes to stressful work. Set working hours and actually follow them by turning off notifications on your phone. Set time for longer breaks. And work on building interpersonal relationships by finding new ways to replace those social interactions we no longer can have the way we had them in the office. Okay, so before going to the office tour, just a quick disclaimer. I have lots of stuff in my office that is not necessarily is super important, like you don't have to have it. I have a lot of additional equipment that I use because I run live classes, because I produce a lot of video content, and that is why I have it. But you don't really have to have all of that. So let's jump in and see what I use and what are some of the cool things that you might want to get yourself as well. So here is my overall working space, as you can see, and let's look into more details into everything I have. So this is a special chair for my cats where they can sit down, not a chair, but a poof. My chair, obviously, really good chair, Secret Lab, recommended, but pretty expensive, definitely not like a must. And my standing desk. So the standing desk is really useful. So this one is an electric one, and I usually start the day in the morning, or especially for when I have a full day workshop or class, standing, and then after lunch I sit down. Now I have 3 monitors here. So the big ones, obviously, as you can see, I am working on the introduction to Scrum, adding some new things, so stay tuned for that. And then here I have another one, and as you can see, I'm working on the script for the next video. So this is my microphone, a bit fancy, definitely not necessary for anyone working from home, but that gives me a pretty clear sound. My headphones, obviously, sticky notes, can't live without those. And the third screen that I have here, This one is for calls, more specifically, with the teleprompter right here, and there is a camera behind it, right? So that way, when I have meetings and I'm just kind of putting people up on the screen, and then I can actually see them when I talk to them, they feel like I'm looking at them, not looking somewhere else. So that is very handy, but once again, not necessary at all. I have just organized my cables, pretty happy about that with this handy thing. Now I have two lamps, this one here and this one. So I usually have a lot of natural light coming from my window, but I still have two lamps to really smooth out the light on both sides. I have some other extra things in here. I have this little guy, say hi. So I have some extra things here, like this one. This is to take pictures, like for thumbnails, very handy. And then I have a similar one on the other side, also a handy one because I can use it to film shorts or anything similar, so it's very useful for me. Here's my printer and the cabinet with all of my stuff in there, extra sticky notes and Sharpies, obviously. And obviously you don't need to have a printer. You know, I use it because I need to print materials for workshops, as well as shipping labels for those of you who are buying the retrospective poker cards. And then that is pretty much it. That kind of sums up everything that I have here. I do have this poster right here. I haven't been using it that much. I should, but not yet. I might come back to it at some point. But here you go. That kind of shows pretty much everything on my desk. We have reached some awesome milestones here at Scrum Mastered, and I would like to share them with you so that we can celebrate together. First of all, we just hit 2,000 followers on Instagram, and this is absolutely great. I didn't even think that this Instagram platform will start growing. And we have over 3,700 people that are subscribed to the newsletter. So if you're not yet part of those platforms, I encourage you to go check the links in the description of this video to join us there as well. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you learned something new. And if you did, remember to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers and Scrum on!